Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I am here today, this morning, with Gloria at Flash Funding, and I am really excited for this conversation. Gloria, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background, the company you represent, and we'll start there.
So Flash Funding is a factoring company where we buy receivables, and we have clients who are trucking companies, staffing agencies, janitorial companies, oil and gas consulting, and we buy the receivables, and we've ACH, wire transfer, and write checks to them and process their invoices, and then we wait for the customers to pay us. And I was the first employee that they hired back in 14 years ago. So I've done various things for the company, and then they moved me to one of our sister companies because we have 5 different companies on our property that are owned by common owners, and I bounce back and forth between some of those. But I do HR and benefits for Flash Funding and for our sister company, Lightning Logistics, and for our other sister company, Rapid Crate Solutions. And then we have Spindletech, and I do benefits for them. And
Got
then a
it. And
coffee division.
so quite many hats that you have to wear, sounds like, between juggling between so many different companies. And when did you start in the HR space in general? Was it, I'm assuming it was before you joined the Flash Funding company.
I started working at an office equipment company several years ago. I've been here 16 years, so 20 years ago, I worked for them for about 14 years. And I started as a customer service rep, dispatching, taking supply orders, and selling service contracts. And then one day the vice president came to me and he said, "Would you like to start doing payroll?" And I did. And so I felt like I was invited into the inner circle of the company, you see. And so I started doing payroll, and I shared an office with the HR manager there who was so she got cancer, and so she was going in and out for treatment, and I had to pick up some of her responsibilities. And that's how I first was introduced to HR. It wasn't by going to school and learning anything, it was just being thrown into it. And then I went to work for another office equipment company that was very small, that didn't have any HR policies or procedures. And so I used what I learned at the larger company that had 320 employees for this company that had 8. And so I set up policies and procedures and handbooks and different things for them. And then I went to work for a few other companies in between there before I came to work for Lightning 16 years ago as a trucking company, and I was doing billing and administration and then safety. And I told the owner, I said, whenever we get big enough to have an HR person, that's what I want to do. And so as we grew and grew, and finally he's like, "Here's payroll, get us some insurance, get us some workers' comp, get us some 401k." And I just started doing it, and I had to learn it as I go and ask questions as I go, and I'm all self-taught.
Learning as you go, that's, I would say, the best way, because you're growing with the company, and you're becoming an irreplaceable asset. And that's how I always started as well in any industry that I joined. It was just learning by doing, starting from the simplest things that I could do, but just to have a great understanding of those. And that sounds interesting. But I read somewhere that you pivoted from doing photography. Can you tell us about that, if I read it correctly? So there's doing photography for babies, is that correct?
Yes, I worked for a company where I traveled around South Texas with my camera equipment, and I used to set up in the discount stores like the Kmarts and the Woolcos in the children's department. And I used to chase mamas down with their babies in the cart and talk them into getting their portraits taken. And she's like, "Well, he's dirty and his hair's messed up, his face." I said, "That's okay. I have combs. I have baby wipes. We'll turn his shirt around backwards." And since the kid wasn't having to be all hyped up to get portraits taken, they were relaxed. They were playful. They had some of their best pictures taken that they ever had, according to their parents, whenever they came back to see them. So that was a kind of a fun job. And then I moved into studios. So I was doing families and brides and graduations, but mostly babies, lots of children. And I learned how to work with children. And that's when I decided I didn't want to have any.
I could imagine that taught you a lot of patience, or you are in general a patient person, because we definitely are learning how to do baby photography for our little one, and it's so hard. You have to improvise and be ready with the camera, always ready with the camera, because you never know when the moment comes. But
Yes.
Maybe you can share some tips afterwards, and then let's circle back to the flash funding. So, if you could explain simply, how does your day to day look like, and then I would like to segue into the company culture because that what was so interesting. After our initial conversation, I wanted to drop everything and fly over and join the company because of the company culture that you're part of. But how does your typical day to day look like? If you could walk us through.
Well, I have a lot of people who try to get our business, such as payroll companies and insurance brokers. And I handle things that are not really HR related, like I handle the air conditioning company and I handle the janitorial company. I'm kind of like office manager, facilities maintenance, because we only have 77 employees throughout all the companies, and that's not really a full-time HR position. We don't have a lot of turnover, so there's not a lot of recruiting that happens over here. But when I do need to recruit, I just run it out on LinkedIn and I just get bombarded with resumes. So
Wow.
we're always able to select from those. I handle the benefits, I handle the 401k, I do the payroll, I do the insurance, and I do the workers' comp audits and pretty much everything. Because we're a small company, you have to wear a lot of hats. So you have to do everything. It's not like I just handle recruiting or I just handle benefits. I do all of it. And I also do one-on-ones with the employees so that I can find out where their heart is as far as growth and what they need and how we can accommodate their professional advancement when we can, because we try to hire from the front desk and then we promote from there.
Wow, that's so interesting. So it sounds to me like you're the skeleton of the company, like the foundation, because you are making sure that the company culture that I was so interested in is actually in harmony. If you, I guess that's the only word that it comes to me as you were describing it, the harmony of the company within the company. Where is that? Were you naturally gravitating towards that? Because it sounds like you're having a lot of conversations, like you said, one-on-one, and you're dealing with almost every one of those 77 employees on a very personal basis. You're responsible for their growth. You're responsible for their well-being, making sure even their future. If you're talking 401ks and investments for the future. So how did it start? Were you naturally pushed towards that to be in that position, or is it something that you're essentially was needed at the company and you were ready to fill that role?
As needs arose, I filled the role.
Hmm.
As on a need to know basis, and as I needed to know more, I would learn more and I would fill the role. And I do other things here, like plan the social events for Christmas parties, the trips that we take to Vegas or Lake Charles, or we're sending the team to see the Shakira concert here in June, and they went to see Beyonce, and I buy all those tickets and take care of all that. Our next trip is going to be to Steamboat Springs, I believe, sometime this summer, so we can have some summer activities. So I'll be involved in planning that. I hire a travel agent to help me book all that. So I do multiple things here besides HR and payroll and benefits and one-on-ones. And then once a quarter, we have to file our 941. So we got our CPAs who do our audits and do our financials, and I have to pull reports. And so there's always something to do.
Absolutely, yeah. I can imagine. Now, how did you get concert for Beyonce ticket? I mean, tickets for Beyonce concert because I heard that it was almost impossible to get them unless you had some, I don't know, you were there in advance or something. So was it easy to get those tickets?
No, the venue that she was at, we had a suite there and we had season tickets, so they offer you the suites first. They're season
Fantastic.
ticket holders first, so they offered us a suite, and we rented a suite and we just sent everybody through the suite.
That's the way to go. I guess I guess that's the best way to go. And you had probably really nice views as well. Nice locations on the venue. Now the company culture, this is phenomenal. You just mentioned a few things like going to concerts, taking trips. Last time we spoke, you were right after a luncheon or lunch with the company. Where did it originated from? Was the founders and the executives came up with this idea from the ground? As you joined, you were just part of it, or did you influence it somehow, or the rest of the team? Because you definitely sounded like it's definitely sounded like an exciting place to work at. So I'm just curious, how did it come about? Because not many companies have that type of company culture, but that explains why your 77 employees don't want to leave.
Well, the owners like to have fun. They like to do things fun. For example, we were going to go to a high-end steakhouse, and the owners were like, "That's too stodgy for me. I want to go have fun." So we went to an indoor digital putt-putt facility that serves food. So the girls got to just play putt-putt and eat and drink, and we did that all day, and then we came back to the office. We hired a charter bus and took us downtown to this venue that had and it was my first time to go to a digital putt-putt place, where they had two different 9-hole courses, and you would play, and your ball has a chip in it, and it tracks your hits and
Wow.
your scores for you, and you don't have to keep score for yourself. And there's a screen above each hole that tells you when to hit and what your score is and where you stand and how well you did. And then at the end, it scores everybody up. So it was interesting. It was fun, and it was more fun than going to a stodgy steakhouse.
Absolutely. I mean, that sounds like an exciting memory. There's 1 hour away from here, closer to Los Angeles, that we wanted to visit, but we didn't go yet. But now that you tell me about your experience, we have to book a trip there too. It sounds like an interesting place. So with that, what advice would you give to a company, maybe a newer company that wants to start implementing that type of company culture where there's fun, when there's acceptance for fun, I guess, because some of the environments that I'm familiar with are very rigid. There's not much fun. There's a lot of stress. Maybe that's why, because they never let go and they never have fun together as a team. And that's usually equals in higher employee turnover, etc. So what would you recommend to essentially for companies, how do they find Gloria like you and start implementing that type of company culture and keep it all together?
If the revenue's there and they have the profits and they want to reinvest into the employees, that's the key thing. They have to have the profits, be able to spend that money, because not all companies can afford to take their whole team to Las Vegas for the weekend or something like that. So the profits need to be there. But if you do have the profits and you want to reinvest in your employees, that's a good way to do that, because our people have been here for years and they're looking forward to being here for more years. As I do these one-on-ones with them, I ask them what their goals are, and some of them are just like, "I'm so happy doing what I'm doing. I just want to stay here," because we let them bring their children to work. And that's a big deal, because people miss a lot of work and the managers don't want them to miss work. And here after COVID, we came back from working from home, and nobody works from home here. We all come in. But if they can bring their child, if their child is not feeling well, they crawl under a little mat under their desk and sleep, on a little pallet, and or in their office if they have one. So that's a big deal, is that we let our employees bring their children to work, because we're very flexible. We give a lot of PTO whenever they're hired, so that they can take time off and they use it. And sometimes when we have Christmas parties and we raffle off things, we raffle off PTO days, because they want more time off. They would rather have the time off than the prize, an iPhone or an iPod or whatever. They would rather have time off. And so we do that for our employees as well. And then we went to Painting with a Twist, where we all go in and eat and drink, and we paint the painting that the artist at the front is painting. So we do that for every 6 months. We'll go somewhere to an escape room or to Painting with a Twist. Then we have our quarterly luncheons. So we try to have something periodically, and then we give bonuses. So they get quarterly bonuses, and that helps with their pay. So you got to have the profits to do it. And if you have the profits, I would reinvest in my employees, because they're the biggest asset.
I love it. I mean, I'm more and more excited about, on one hand, joining a company like this or building a company like this. This is just unheard of. I mean, if this would be the first company when I moved to the United States that I joined, I would never leave. It sounds so.
Right?
Are there any, let's flip the coin. Are there any times of bigger challenge outside of obviously 2020, 2021, but any challenges that cause maybe higher stress within the team, or especially for your role, that come out during the year? And anything that, essentially my question is, what are the challenges that come with your role working at a company for such a long time?
Well, I don't feel frustration or stress, because I take medication and I'm chilled all the time. I take medication for bipolar, so I'm always chilled. I take a mood stabilizer and I can pretty much handle whatever comes along without being stressed about it. The drama, the people, maybe a gossip here and there, or somebody not getting along, or she hurt my feelings. Well, you're pregnant and your emotions are running high, so don't take it personal, and just little personality things. Other than that, we don't really have too much. Well, for example, we took a group picture for our website and it didn't come out right. So now we may have to reshoot that. And I'm like, oh man, I got to get all those people together again. Little tiny little things, that are little irritants maybe, but even those don't even bother me. It's just my personality, because I enjoy what I'm doing and it's fun for me. So I just take it with a grain of salt. So I'm totally happy.
Got it. Got it. That's sounds like a best way to approach life in general. Take it with a grain of salt and don't take stuff personal. Be chill and enjoy what you're doing. I think that plays a major role in it as well. And as far as innovations, are you, for any of the headsets you're wearing, are you implementing or using or thinking about implementing any artificial intelligence, AI, or any innovations like software that could potentially make your life easier or maybe more efficient in some ways?
Yes, we have a payroll company that's very small that we've been using for years and years, and they don't integrate with anybody. So when I have a new hire, I have to enter them in the payroll system. I have to enter them in our 401k system. I have to enter them in our HSA, COBRA, and FMLA system that they outsource. I have to enter them in our medical insurance. I have to enter them in our ancillary insurance for our life and disability. And I'm putting them in like 5 and 6 times. So we're switching to another payroll company, and we switch brokers so that we can do Employee Navigator, and they all network together, because our payroll company didn't network with anybody. So in order to use new technology, and I think I was the first one to get everybody here starting to use ChatGPT, because I feel like I have to stay current on technology. So I'll be learning a new payroll platform that I haven't been using before. We were using another company for our employee engagement, where we do surveys, where we do performance reviews, where the employees can get rewards and they can give each other high fives and earn points and buy gift cards. And this payroll company that we're changing to has all that in their platform. So we don't need that other platform. So we can move everything to the new payroll company, and we're saving money. We're saving lots of money in payroll fees and in employee engagement fees. But in the past, I have hired executive coaches to come out and do workshops to help us with our employee engagement. So we've done that as well, to help them with training and help them broaden their mind. I give them books, referrals to read, and I hook them up with coaches so that they can do that. So we try to keep them engaged, and we want them to be invested.
And as you've mentioned ChatGPT, how are you using ChatGPT? Are you using it on a daily basis or just when you need it?
I use it when I need it, but I ask it questions like, for example, certain companies might need to get a resume for a CEO, and I don't have one. So I just go into ChatGPT, give me a resume for a CEO, or give me a job description for a CEO. And so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to go to them and say, now, what do you do every day? Because they're not going to take the time to tell me that. You see? So I use it for that. I use it for HR a lot. As long as we don't put proprietary information in there, so that it keeps that and can share that with somebody else. But we can use it for benign, generic kinds of things. When I need help writing something and I need to get started, I have writer's block. I'll put in my questions and it'll give me information for that. My payroll company helps me with my handbooks, but if I didn't have a handbook, I would use it to help me write my handbook. I've used it to help me write other job descriptions and letters. Give me a format to use as a matrix to record certain data. So they helps me with formatting matrices for our departments.
You just raised something really interesting, because I can imagine when you do your one-on-one, the first thought to me would be perhaps AI like ChatGPT could help you analyze if there's like a situation that maybe you can solve for yourself, or you want to essentially get maybe some additional help. You could use ChatGPT for analysis for that, because I know that it's going to be used a lot. It is already used in medical fields and all kinds of innovations, etc. But what you raise is the question about safety of it. So if as far as safety of the data, so if
Uh-huh.
you give it information like proprietary personal information or proprietary information from your company, technically I don't know, or I'm not familiar with any ways that ChatGPT would prevent it from sharing it with everyone else, because it
Right.
shares with, if there are some experiments that they've done on multiple platforms. ChatGPT is one of them, same as ChatGPT, and they kind of give the same information because that's the information they have. Essentially, AI has. So
Right.
if you start giving it information, some of your competitor or people that shouldn't be aware of that might be getting access to it as well. So that's an interesting question that I have to dig deeper into. How safe is AI as far as open AI that is available for everyone and everyone can feed it any information. So if you give it sensitive information, what's going to happen with that information?
That's right. And we wrote a policy on ChatGPT and AI. We have a policy in place that we gave to all the employees that says you use it, but under these guidelines, under these perimeters. So we have a policy about that already.
Yeah, that's especially if you have 70 plus employees or even bigger companies, they have to have that. That's a smart way to go about it. But funny, probably the policy could be written by AI, and then about AI blocking AI. That's the time we live in. Now, I was curious about one more thing. If you are all in person, you don't work remotely, do you still use any platforms for communication or keeping track of like projects, etc., within the company, or is it all manual?
As far as communicating with our employees, I have two remote employees. I have one in Midland, Texas, who does sales, business development, and then I have one in West Palm Beach that also does business development. And I communicate with them through the phone. I
On the
mean, I
phone.
text them because that's the quickest way to get them. And we send emails when there's documents that have to go back and forth. So I don't use a platform for communicating with them, but we're fixing to create a policy for emergency preparedness because it's hurricane season coming. So I'm going to be working with the operations managers so we can work with some kind of communication platform that we can communicate whenever we lose power, if we're all having to work remote again, because the office will lose power for 2 weeks at a time with the
Well,
hurricane coming in because the whole city's down. So we have to come up with a system. So that's my next project is to work on that and implementation of this new payroll company.
well, I hope it's going to be a mild hurricane season this year. So there's no essentially platforms like Slack or Microsoft Teams where the whole company would be part of and where you can communicate online as well. So you don't have that.
I know they're available, but we haven't needed to use them. But as they become needed, we'll use them. We'll pick them up. And I
I
think there may be some people here who use Slack. The business development people may use Slack because they use Salesforce and they may start using Slack as well.
I get it. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool because I mean, after all, you should be the role model for all of the companies out there that that have in-person teams, but at the same time, you don't need it, and the company is operating so well, and it sounds like you have a fantastic company culture, and it's still working without all those technologies. That's very, very interesting.
We're all
Now,
here in the same building, so I can
yeah.
see them and talk to them. And email has worked fine for us so far. But for the remote people, I just text them.
That's so cool. I admire that approach.
But I remember when the first cell phone came out, when they installed it in their car, because I'm old enough to remember the first fax machine that we got in the office when I was working for a beeper company as the collection manager, credit and billing. And we're going, this is going to save us a lot of money in FedEx, because we were going to fax machine. This is cool. And now I'm surprised that some people still even use them.
Yeah, that's true. I When I was in Germany for several years, over a decade ago, they are operating. They were probably a change, but email was unheard of. Pretty much every bureaucratic activity that you had to do for like insurance or business or what have you, this is all based on fax. They were faxing all the time, so we had a fax machine at home, and we were using it all the time for even for communication with like in different institutions and what have you. So they were all operating on fax. So I don't know assuming it changed since I left Germany, but it was still a big thing, like 2010 to 2015 when I left.
Before fax, there was a telex machine, and you would sit at it and type, and it would transmit to, on paper. It would transmit to the oil rigs out in the ocean, or across the country, or across the world. There was telex machines. So before fax, there was telex.
That I don't remember. However, at one of the Toastmasters meeting, there was a lady who worked in telecommunication back from I think 60s or 70s, and she's been there for many decades, and she did a speech on how it developed. So I remember something like that where she was doing it, and later she was doing the clips where, like, I don't know, clips like the cables when you wanted to connect with someone, and you would call in the central station, and she would connect you with whoever you want to be connected with. That was quite interesting. So yeah, that's a lot has changed since then. It's a lot simpler, but I still admire the fact that you communicate as a human to human in person. I mean, that's the best way to do that, and yet so many companies are just moving to digital communication, and just because it's, I guess, easier. No one has to leave their desk, and they just sit behind their desk and work from there.
Well, my boss sits in the office next to me, and I do email him a lot. All I have to do is stick my head in his door, but I email him when I need to communicate data that I need to communicate in writing. So some things just have to be documented, and you have to communicate in writing. So I do that. But you were a Toastmaster too one time?
I'm still a Toastmaster. I joined not a company, joined Toastmasters International. Pretty much the first couple of weeks, I moved to the United States to practice on my skills. It's my third language, and I was doing a lot of presentations. I was doing a lot of communication as far as engineering goes in a renewable energy company. So I had to be much better at speaking and presenting and being able to handle different audiences. And someone recommended, actually the co-founder recommended Toastmasters. He knew it back from Europe. So I joined, I walked in, and I never left since then. So I'm still part of Toastmasters. Are you?
How many years has that been? I was a Toastmaster for 2 years, but it's been a few years.
8 years so
Oh
far.
my. Okay. So they have new leadership programs now, probably. They probably do their program different than when I was there.
Yes, we used to have a booklet that you would go through the books. There's like 10 projects, and then you would work
Uh-huh.
on those same 10 projects again, obviously with
Yes.
different speeches. So that's changed it. They changed it they digitalized it during COVID because everyone had to do their meetings online. And then now, 3 weeks ago, actually, they rolled out with a brand new update. So I'm still learning about it, but it's essentially a new platform that has many more different pathways, they call. So a pathway would be, for example, if you want to be persuasive speaker or practice that, master that, and you choose that path. But if you want to be more of how do you call it? There's like effective communication or presentation mastery. So if you want to be learning more, focusing more on presentations and how to create them, how to deliver them effectively, and this is the path you can choose. So there's more pathways, and there's a lot more curriculum online where you can learn and see different examples. So it's all digitalized right now. And what we do is a hybrid meeting. So I set up the room, that a conference room where we have people joining from all over the world on the computer and Zoom, and we're still in person. So whoever is around and can come here in person, they can. But if you can't come in person, you can always join online via Zoom.
Okay, that's
So it's
awesome. I remember I was evaluating another speaker one night, and the grammarian at the end of the meeting said, and Gloria said mighta coulda, but she's from Texas, so we're going to let her get away with that one. And I'm like, mighta coulda, oh my word, but that ain't even a word.
yes, it's funny
But out
enough
of
that
my my 10 speeches that I gave, I won best speaker 6 times out of 10.
wow,
So
congrats.
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
It's a good practice, and it's once a week for an hour. It is a commitment, but I feel like if I would, this is the time where I focus on learning new words, on being more attentive when someone else speaks, and being able to evaluate someone in a proper way, and also delivering speeches. And then the impromptu part, this is my favorite part, where the table topics, where you are essentially have to improvise within 3 seconds, and you have to say something for 1 to 2 minutes. That trains my brain in different ways. So I'm still part of it, and help run the club effectively as well. So it's been fun, and I recommend it to everyone who wants to practice their skills
I do
in
too.
speaking.
I
And
recommend it to people as well. I encourage people to join Toastmasters, even though I'm not still a member of it. It's thinking on your feet and giving you exposure to present in front of people, help you with your filler words.
yes, I recommend it. I would recommend it to. I mean, companies do it too. They have like their internal Toastmasters, and also I believe schools should implement Toastmasters or Toastmasters like classes to really practice that. I don't know if they do, but it doesn't seem like they do based on how people communicate and how many filler words we use on the day-to-day basis. That's the toughest one.
Like,
Like, you know,
you know, I hear you.
guess what? The platform we're on, recording it on, will remove the filler words for us. I can tell you the count. It will
Good.
make our lives easier for that. So just to conclude, because it's been already over 30 minutes. What's in the future? Next 5 to 10 years? Any goals? Anything that you would like to accomplish other than going to the Shakira concert and some other concerts and trips to Las Vegas? Anything that is that you're excited about in the near future?
My goal is to help this company grow and to help the employees have pathways to promotions. Because as we grow, we create new positions as we need them. For example, the business development position was created because we had a need to have somebody facilitate between the business development reps, the salespeople, into the underwriter, because we have an underwriter who has to vet all of our clients. So my goal is to help the company grow. I go and visit clients. We don't really have a sales manager, so I kind of work in that role. I have sales meetings with the salespeople. I go out to Midland and I go visit clients, and I visit with clients here in the office. So I network with them. So I need to help the company grow and help the employees grow, because that's my main focus, because this is my baby. I'm invested in this company. The boss said he needed another 10 years out of me. That would put me at 72. So I guess I'll be coming in the office with my walker. Yeah, but that's my main goal. My main focus is to do that. And then as the employees come in with their one-on-ones, if anybody has a crisis, I want to be there for them if they have a crisis, because I have been in crisis with my mental illness at companies before, and I've had very supportive bosses, awesome bosses, who paid for my hospitalization, my doctor bills, saved my job, gave me a promotion when I got back, because I'm a good employee and I was in crisis and they understood that. You can
There
edit
you
that one out.
go. I mean, you have to ask ChatGPT how many different hats are you wearing. And now you're telling me you've been visiting clients to continue building a relationship with them. I mean, you're truly irreplaceable, Gloria. And I wish more companies would have the ability to have someone on board like you. It's just really heartwarming to hear about that experiences and a company culture that you're part of. And it sounds like I will restate it again, say it one more time, that sounds to me like you're the skeleton of this company culture that you have over there. So that's just fantastic. Thank you so much for all the wisdom nuggets, if we can call them that you've shared today. And I look forward to connecting with you in the near future and seeing how the concerts will go. Hopefully you have some photography, maybe videography experience, so maybe you can create some content and share on LinkedIn how some of the trips go.
Yes, we have a young lady here who's working on our social media. So we'll be posting some of those for that. And they'll post some for the little golfing that we had, and they posted some for the painting that we did. So she's trying to include all those things in there. But I've had so many other jobs where I've been an executive assistant to the vice president of the sales department for a few years. So I've worked in the executive office, and I've worked with salespeople, like 60 salespeople. And I used to facilitate their incentive trips whenever we would send them to Mexico and let them stay in villas, or they'd go to Jamaica or somewhere on a cruise or something like that. So I've done various things, and all the other experience that I've had in my other careers have brought me to this place, and I've been able to use them to help me grow this company and help me develop my career here. It's because it's skills that I've needed. Like, for example, I took typing in school. I dropped out of school in the 10th grade, but I learned typing. at least I learned typing, so I can type, you know. So at every job I've ever had, I've needed to type. But I've always worked since I was 15, and I've had so many different careers, and it's all helped make who I am now. So it's been good for me, and I'm good. I'm in a good place right now, and I'm very happy now, and I love this company. I love my bosses. I love my employees, and I'm very happy. I'm happier now than I've ever been, and I'm an old woman now.
You're not, but I definitely agree that you're in a great spot and you've developed skills that they don't teach at school. So I don't blame you for dropping out, and I think it turned out to be to turn you into a wonderful human and very warm and somebody that every company. I mean, this is an inspiration for so many companies that should be. So please keep posting. Tell your the social marketing lady that she needs to be posting more to inspire more companies to implement and follow along as well. So again, thank you so much for your time, Gloria. It was a pleasure and a blessing as well to hear all of those inspiring ideas to implement at the company and to keep the company for a long time, and the fact that you're still have so many things that you want to be part of and grow over the next next years. It's very, very, very inspiring. So thank you again. Please stay on for another minute and we will just finish recording for now.
All right, thank you very much for having me.